Hey everybody, my name is Russ. That is Lauren. Welcome to our Thursday. I don't know why I was going to say Wednesday. It's Thursday.
I don't know.
Our music discussion video, and Lauren has some good ones this time because she is excited about things that turned 50 this year, me included. And then the same year that I was released, a whole bunch of other good music was released. And I will say we've done videos like this before, like 5 great singles from 1992 or 5 great albums from 1991 or whatever. Because we do 5, and we only do 5 because we want you to comment and interact with the videos. This is literally scratching the surface. These are great picks, but there's so much good music.
Oh, I know. It was hard to put together. So I kind of,
Yeah. Like, am I wrong when I was looking at your list, Elton had 2 albums that year. Yeah. So like, that's how spoiler, you're kicking off with Elton.
I'm kidding on him.
Yeah. He even had 2 records that year.
I know. Well, so. Elton. Oh, so the first one on my list is Elton John's Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy. And I accidentally have like a weird theme of like career turning points with all of the records that are on this list. Because, Elton John, 1975, to put out a concept album that is essentially a career retrospective story in 1975.
I know. Yeah.
It's like,
oh, well, you're way into your career now.
Like, hold on. 50 years later coming out with brilliant new music. But anyway, I love this album so very much. It's not really heavy on the singles front, right? This exists more as a complete album, and I think very, very appropriately so. And yeah, I just think it's a really cool offering from Elton and Bernie kind of working together as a songwriting pair. And I think it definitely serves as like this is where they were at that time, because they had been doing it enough that they could look back at everything that they'd done, because he put 2 albums out in 1975 because the dude was so incredibly prolific from 1969 up until 1975. Sure. It's like, he had 2 albums in 72, like 2 in 73. And like, it's like, dude, slow down.
Right.
And this was the album that made him slow down.
When you go to the second album on your list, when you were talking about the last album, you were talking about how it pretty much exists as one piece and it's not really a singles record. On the other side of that is a very singles-driven album.
Sure, yeah. Aerosmith, Toys in the Attic. And what's fun about this one, just kind of looking into, how they put it together, this was the first time Aerosmith went into the studio without enough material for an album.
Right.
So they were using this kind of as a working session to like be like, all right, what are we gonna do, And so then you get like the riff for the title track, that was just them kind of like futzing around in the studio, and like it comes out and all sort of comes together. It's a really cool album. Like I love younger Steven Tyler vocals, and the thing that's fun for me, just kind of being who I am, there's a track on here, Big 10-inch record.
Oh yeah.
Do you know how they became aware of that song?
It's one of those things I've forgotten over time. So refresh me and tell the viewers.
The Dr. Demento show.
Oh, right on.
So Steven Tyler was like, yeah, so we were just hanging out listening to Dr. Demento, and we got such a kick out of this song that they really did it very straightforward to the novelty version that they heard on the Dr. Demento show. And Steven Tyler said, and I quote, "Demento is a cool guy."
Oh, nice. Well, and then you have they were no strangers to comedy because the way Walk This Way came about, which if you're not aware, that's from Young Frankenstein.
Yes.
And one other fun fact about Walk This Way, if you're familiar with the lyrics, was that there was a magazine at the time, and I forget who it was. It wasn't Rolling Stone or anything. It was like a magazine for like parents and stuff. And they had written an article about how filthy music was these days. And they had said that, if you want to get your kids into something, it should be something good and clean. Like Aerosmith put out a recent song called Walk This Way that your kids should be listening to, where obviously they had never listened to the lyrics of the song. And so Steven Tyler always thought that was hilarious. It was like, thanks for the recommendation. Like, maybe listen to the lyrics of the song.
That's funny. That's really funny.
I think Uncle Salty, I think, is crazy good that no one ever talks about. And what's funny is in the 80s, really, up until and after they had their resurgence with Run DMC through the remake of Walk This Way, whenever you heard Sweet Emotion, if it was in a movie or if it was on the radio or whatever, it started from the after the intro, so it would always go sweet, right?
Yeah.
and they re-released it as a single when they had a box set come out called Pandora's Box. And I know a ton of people who thought that intro was new, like because at that time they were ruling MTV so they could do what they wanted. So the whole song got played in the video for it. And I know people that were like, "Oh, that's really neat that they like did that new intro." And I was like, and I had a cassette copy of Toys in the Attic that I had to like prove to so many people that was there the whole time.
That's amazing.
Yeah, well, even on the Aerosmith's Greatest Hits, which I know there's a million now, but back then they only had the one that's bright red with the big white.
Yes,
it's like half the logo. That version of Sweet Emotion that's on there is the cut one. So that's how most people knew it.
Right.
And I had that copy of Toys in the Attic I had to take to so many people and be like, no, it was here the whole time.
That sounds like a Russ thing to do.
Yep. The next one is absolutely a turning point record.
Yeah.
In every stretch of the word.
Fleetwood Mac, the White Album, Fleetwood Mac. It's the first time you get Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham in Fleetwood Mac. It's the first time that there's a different creative direction for the group, sort of as a whole.
Completely different. Yeah.
Completely different. And, like Christine had some great tracks on the album before. Heroes Are Hard to Find. But she really found her place to shine with these two new collaborators.
Which is so rad.
Yeah.
I don't want to derail too much. We had not to pimp our own content, but Lauren's got a lot of videos about Stevie on the channel. We have a couple videos about Christine. Go watch those. But I like that there absolutely could have been a dynamic of, well, Stevie's the shiny new toy in the band.
And if you look at the track
listing, if nothing else, they complement each other.
They complement each other. Yeah. And like, if you really look at this, Stevie might be the shiny new toy, but she's lead vocal on.
No, well, I'm saying that could have been the attitude. I don't think it was. I think a lot of fans have put Stevie in front of Christine, but I don't believe at that time that was. I'm just saying that could have been like even Lindsay at the time could have been like, well, I know she was here, but this is my girl, and like I feel like Stevie herself was like, no, we're gonna work together.
Yeah,
and Christine wanted to.
Yeah,
I mean, you just suddenly go, oh wow, there's another powerful force in this group. Thinks like I do. Let's, but the music that's on here is so good. I think Rumors outshines this record so much because of the sales and all that, but there's so much good stuff on here.
You got Rhiannon, Landslide, Over My Head, World Turning.
See, I would bet you there's a certain cross section of people that just think Rhiannon and Landslide are on Rumors when they're not.
Nope. This album opens with Monday Morning, which is probably one of my favorite Lindsay cuts. Like, it's just it's jaunty. Yeah. And I think it's a great way to like signal this is a new band now kind of thing, to basically not let Lindsay, but to have Lindsay take the reins on like the first track on this new Fleetwood Mac album. I just think it's really cool.
Yeah, it's incredible record, and it's obviously a complete turning point. Bruce, you have up next in his first of two Born albums.
Born albums, yes. Born to Run. Yep. This, again, turning point, because if this album wasn't successful, I don't know if we'd have Bruce the way that we have Bruce today.
Oh, yeah, probably not.
Because before this, right, it's Greetings from Raspberry Park, and then The Wild, the Innocent, and the E Street Shuffle, right? And, like, those are great. I love them, but they're like dirty New Jersey beach albums. They are not universal, like everybody can feel something in this.
Let's put it this way. Bon Jovi didn't base his entire career off of those two albums.
Right. No.
Based it off of this one. Yeah.
And like there are no skips on this record. I think this is so solid. It's one of those things where like it's called Born to Run, and the entire time from beginning to end on both sides, it feels like it's going somewhere. Every song has like movement.
A live feel to it.
Yeah,
to me,
like
it's very infectious. Like I no pun intended for the channel, but it's very like, even if you don't love Bruce Springsteen, if someone puts the song Born to Run on in a bar, like okay, and I rarely say like, oh, I don't like this song, but I really don't like Bad of the Bone by George Thorogood. It's just not my stuff. Sure. I don't like that song. Every time that ever comes on in a bar, I audibly am like, because I just don't like that song. Even if you felt that way about most of Springsteen, when this song starts, I can't think of anyone who would be like, ugh. Like, you're just like, yeah, all right, but that is a good one. And the whole record is that good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
The last one now, I would argue that this is not so much a transitionary record for this band, because I I think it's more them having no idea how to deal with what came before. I think that's in the lyrics. Musically, I think they were exactly on the same path. But lyrically, they're like, what?
Yeah, what do we do now? Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here. I think it's great, right? That on the heels of Dark Side of the Moon, it's like, what do you do? What do you do when everything you've done up to Dark Side of the Moon, like, has been figuring out how to get to Dark Side of the Moon? Now you're on the Dark Side of the Moon. What do you do?
There's so many different things that I think are just beautiful about the way that Wish You Were Here pans out. Like, right before the Dark Side of the Moon, they were still very much stretching out. You had songs like Careful That Axe Eugene, and way back, Interstellar Overdrive, Childhoods, and Echoes. Of course, you had these longer songs, and the Dark Side of the Moon is really like, I mean, there's money is registers around 7 minutes or so, but for Pink Floyd,
relatively tight,
very short songs. And then imagine getting into Pink Floyd with Dark Side of the Moon, where, the first 10 minutes or so of the Dark Side of the Moon has 3 great songs in a row, right? And then you go and get Wish You Were Here, and the first song on side 1's like 15 minutes long or something, and you're like, what?
What is happening?
But I don't feel like that's what I don't feel the music itself was rebellious in any way. I just feel like they got together, and that's the music that the 4 guys from Pink Floyd made. But lyrically, it's far more everything on the record except for the title track is far more looking inward than as universal as of all the themes on the Dark Side of the Moon are.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah,
it's like Roger being, well, first of all, obviously the tribute to Syd Barrett that bookends the record. But the other 2 songs that are on the record besides the title cut are very much a just going like, not even trying to explain to you what they're dealing with, just like openly saying, here's what I'm dealing with, right? With the industry. I don't think that this record would go on to be as revered as it is if it wasn't for the title track. Not because it's not even my favorite song on this record, but that's the only song on this album that is universal.
Yeah.
Like everyone has had that played when their kid goes to college, or when someone passes away, or even in moments of hope, or when someone's coming home from overseas in service or whatever. It's been repurposed a million times because it's the only song on the record where you're not like, well, he's not. Well,
which one's Pink?
Yeah,
it's not that.
That can't be for me. You know what I mean? But I think it's just a brilliant record. I mean, and also one other thing I want to talk about real quick is if you've only ever heard Shine On You Crazy Diamond in an edited form, like on their hits packages or their live albums or stuff, you absolutely have to hear the full version of the song. Specifically the last like 2 minutes of the song that are on the record. I think if you've never heard, if you listen to Pink Floyd and you've never heard that, I think it's, you really should fix that.
Fix it.
And what do you think about the record in general? I mean, you and I have discussed this a lot at the house, but we should share with the people.
We should share, I feel like it makes sense that this comes after Dark Side of the Moon. Musically, you're absolutely right. Like, it's still the same guys working just as like sonically tight together as you can, given what they were working through. And there's so many good moments in it that I do like experiencing it like as a whole piece.
Yeah, no, it is. I think it should be listened to in its entirety, but then again, I think all Pink Floyd should be listened to in its entirety. So
he does.
1975 was an awesome year. I was released that year, as were these 5 records, and there was so much more good music that was released that year. So I always say this in the videos, but please make sure to hit the like button. But more important than that to us is if you have comments on the records we talked about, or you have records you love from 1975 that you want to throw in. Like I said, there was another Elton John record. Led Zeppelin had a huge album that year. A ton of other people had great music that record, or that year rather. So please, by all means, drop that comment. And that's more what we're here for than anything. That is Lauren. My name is Russ. And as we always say, thank you so much for watching.